Greetings, everyone.
Everyone see Nick last night. That was a good show. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we had fun.
I did not know. See, I did not know that you were also a DJ. They just said, "What don't you do?" Now you got executive producer, we know. Right, actor, we know. TV show host, we know. Radio show host. You're an author. You've written children's books. You write shows.
Yeah,
you're
right.
a philanthropist. You're an investor. And then I found out yesterday you're a DJ too. So.
And man, the hustle never stops. Either you're a hustler or a customer. That's how it goes.
How do you stay focused? Like doing all these things, how do you create excellence in any of them? I mean, you're doing so many things.
You know what? I don't see it as so many things. I feel like I wake up each and every day and I'm blessed that my job is to be creative. And it started out, I actually started out as a young person just being a jack of all trades. I don't know if it comes from like the church or just looking up to a lot of people, but I started off just doing music. I started off, and I never wanted to be the guy in the front. I always wanted to understand the inner working. So I was focused on being a producer or a DJ or a writer, and then those things kind of drew me to the forefront. So I don't look at it as, oh, you do so many things,
It's a continuum of just creativity.
Yeah, it's the jack of all trades.
And again, people can ask. I don't want to hog the whole conversation, so everyone's welcome to ask Nick a question. But you just mentioned getting started early. What was the biggest factor you think in your early success? I mean, you were a success by the time you were like 20, 21 years old. So
yeah, understanding what I wanted out of life at an early age, having that probably allowed me to have the correct trajectory, and then understanding where my focus needed to be. A lot of people in my peer group at the time were just having fun and didn't really know, but I really was driven to say, this is what I want to do with my life. And manifestation, speaking things into existence, those are the things that really, like for me, I was doing differently at a young age than most of my peers. So I think that kind of gave me, an edge or a head start. It's just really understanding who I was and who I wanted to become.
Now you were like 21 years old. You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? What was that first million like?
Oh man, foolish. They say a fool and his money, he will soon part ways. But luckily I was young, and then I surrounded myself. I had great mentors. I had a lot of people that were saying that one, you kind of have to let young people be young and make everything from fashion to jewelry to cars to, experiences. I spent a lot of my money on that as a young man, but I got it out of my system.
So you blew it, basically.
I blew it all. Went broke a few times. But, I still, persevered. And luckily I had a strong foundation of just wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to be, I call it an entrepreneur. I was an entertainer and an entrepreneur all in one. And I never took no for an answer. So by the time, I made a few mistakes, the next time I got some millions, I did the right thing with it.
Right. Well, there's no such thing. You could blow it or you could fail, but there's no such thing as failure if you're learning.
Exactly. Every L is a lesson.
That's right. So tell us about your relationship with Africa. How many times have you been on the continent?
This might be definitely over half a dozen. So This might be like the 7th or 8th time that I've been.
First time Botswana.
First time to Botswana though, and it's been so much love.
What draws you here? What do you see in terms of projects, whether personal or professional?
As you know, one of the reasons that even Forbes is here, and it's just when you have 70% of the population under the age of 30 is so impressive, because that's where innovation occurs. That's where inspiration occurs. That's where, it truly is the future. And then as we know, this is the source of the earth, this continent here. So we know that it's mineral rich, but it's also mind rich in that sense of there's so many ideas and there's so much opportunity. And from someone coming from the States, as soon as you land, you just get inspired and you just figure, you want to connect and you want to make the right, decisions based off of who to go to, because there's so many options. So I get here and I just get overwhelmed with opportunity.
The editor in me thinks you just said something brilliant, which would be from minds to minds.
Yeah, right? I love that. We're mining the minds with our minds.
That's right. You're editing me. That's great. When you're doing all these projects and you're looking at all these opportunities, how do you weigh getting? There was once I once spent time with like yourself, a very famous. I won't mention the name because it'll distract, but a very famous actor producer who'd made a lot of money, and what he told me was that. When he started owning a chunk of the action, then he finally became rich. Until then, he was just well paid.
Yeah, ooh.
How do you, when you look at projects, how do you weigh ownership versus a nice salary or a nice opportunity?
Well, as we know, content is king, and intellectual properties will pay you forever. And once I understood that, I got a chance to understand that early on, because when I created Wildin' Out a few decades ago now, no one believed in it. No one understood it. So I had to invest myself. I had to create it myself. And through that, it now is a billion-dollar entity that, is respected and appreciated globally, that I get to participate in and have participated in over 20 years as an owner, opposed to just someone who gets paid. And that's pretty phenomenal when you say, being well paid is great. Everyone loves being well paid, but when you can have ownership, that could take care of your family and your legacy, from here on out, because you can pass that on.
You mentioned media, and you're doing so many things, and again, but almost all of them are media. Where do you see right now, globally, whether it's in Africa, certainly the U.S., but globally, what are the trends you're seeing that people can take advantage of right now?
As we all know, globally, technology is the thing that is driving the economy internationally, everywhere. It's connecting us all. I mean, even in this trip alone, how immediate, I can be with my family and my loved ones and still never miss a step business-wise. I mean, this trip, since my last trip over here, it's light years compared to my communication and my ability. And what I've noticed, even here on the continent and specifically in Botswana, there's things that are happening in technology that we're still behind on in the States. I mean, transactional pay, mobile transactional pay, I saw that for the first time when, I was here in Africa, and it's true. Yeah. And we just started doing that, in the States and still catching up to that. So it's just a lot of things that, as we know, when it comes to technology and connecting, one another and actually, the world becoming a neighborhood is really impressive. And there's so much money in that. There's so much money in connecting people. There's so much money in innovation. There's so much money in the speed of how we communicate.
So we're questions are coming in, and by the way, you can upvote questions. So it's democracy. We're in
technology,
technology and democracy. That's why we're in Botswana. You got both those things here. What do we have? Shapang Motsisi asks, given your experience, both in entertainment as an entrepreneur, what's like the one best piece of advice you have for a young creative?
Don't take anyone's advice. I mean, you got that passion, that fire in you for a reason. That's the best piece of advice. Every time I took someone's advice, they steered me in a direction that I don't know was the best for me. A lot of people, it's the truth. Even I always go back to Wildin' Out, or even America's Got Talent. A lot of people told me I shouldn't do certain things. A lot of my team, a lot of my financial advisors told me not to invest in Wildin' Out. And then, once it started paying their bills, they were like, when are we doing something else like that? Right. They're seeking my leadership. They're seeking now my rebellious behavior when it comes to, being on the forefront of different ideas. And then even in the same time where, as the host of and co-executive producer of America's Got Talent, when I stepped away from that, everyone in the world said, don't do it. Stay there. Continue this well-paid job. And I was like, I'm much more than this job. And I kind of led my own charge and ended up creating a show that's more popular and that created more money, that I was the executive producer with the Masked Singer. So, from stepping from one place to another, one thing I always learned is if you believe in yourself, the sky's the limit.
All right, we have an anonymous question. There you go. We have an anonymous question. Is it worthwhile to quit your job to focus on a business?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what I just said. Believing in yourself, but when you step out, there's a certain type of energy when your back's against the wall and you have no other option. They always say you never know how strong you are to strong as being the only option. And so when you don't have that paycheck every week to rely on, you're gonna make something happen. And I wouldn't encourage anybody to get out there and just go quit your job. Yeah. But when you have a certain level of passion, when you have a certain level of determination, an employer is only going to be a distraction. You know what I mean? I'd much rather be a boss than an employee. Yeah.
Well, Dada, I asked a related question, which is, let's say you don't have any backing or history. How do you have the confidence to do that then?
I've been in that situation many a times, and some of the greatest entrepreneurs and billionaires will tell you, most of the time it's lonely, and it's scary, and it's dangerous, because the security is the thing that always is what keeps the masses flowing. Yep. It's that space when you step out of comfort. It's those times when you step away from something that feels certain. Yep. I'm a very spiritual person, and I put a lot of faith in God. And sometimes I would say I do my best and let God do the rest. And it truly is those times where I feel like there's no other option. I've been that guy where, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. Yeah. I don't know, what to do, but it makes that success so much greater and so much sweeter. And, they say it really just, if I could encourage anybody, in those times where they feel like they have an idea, they have a business that they want to start, your confidence, your passion is contagious, and people will invest in you. People, if you believe in it enough, you can make everyone else believe in it, and that usually becomes that engine that drives everything.
I started 2 companies, and the first one, when I was in my early mid-20s, I did it, I did it as a side hustle. I kept my paycheck. And I was doing nights and weekends.
Right.
And that gave me the confidence, because then when I saw a little traction, so there's a way to also do that without all or nothing. And I think that's probably...
Balance is a beautiful thing.
There wasn't a lot of work-life balance because I was working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But it was balance in terms of taking the risk only when I thought it was time that it was a good risk.
Exactly.
Let's see what else we got here. We had a question before about how you take all your successes in America and what the model is for Africa.
Man, honestly, I want to be a conduit more than anything. I want to be one of the first people from America. I mean, people have done it for so long, but I want to help find, talented individuals from here and utilize my platforms in the States, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I think there's so much energy in the diaspora of just understanding who we are as a people and understanding the strength that we have, and not just as entertainers, but as entrepreneurs, as executives, and as minds that if we work together, I feel like that could be my next thing. A lot of things that I do in the States that I get praised for is discovering talent or creating platforms for allowing people to succeed. And I know there's such a vast pool of talent and innovation here, and I'm like, hey, well, if I could do it in America, I could definitely do it here.
What do you? So you're one of the great kind of talent scouts and judges in the world. So you just teed it up. Yeah. What's that one thing, wherever you are in the world, when you're looking for talent, what's that one thing you're looking for?
The crazy thing, when I'm looking for talent, I'm not looking for talent. Because everyone has talent. God has blessed us all with a gift. It's what you do with that gift. So I've seen some amazing singers. I've seen some amazing entertainers. I've seen some people with great ideas. And I tell them, that's your gift. But who are you going to give that gift to? How are you going to present that gift? So the drive behind the talent is what you look for. As someone who is in the business of discovering talent, I see it's a dime a dozen. Everybody has something. There's something special about each and every one of us, but there's so many people that just sit on that talent. And that's fine if that's what you want to do, and just keep it to yourself. But I'm one of those people that if I have something to give, I want to give it to everyone. And those are the type of people that you see at the top. The people who understand that it takes much more than talent. It takes drive and determination accompanied with that talent.
What's cool about this gathering is, most of the times you're speaking, you're kind of like, oh, Nick's been around a long time, but he's still a young guy making stuff happen. Here, you're the wise, older,
as we call it, where I come, the OG.
Yeah. So we have an OG legacy question, which is, of all the kind of hats you wear, and you got a cool one on today.
Yeah. Thanks.
Which one is the legacy do you think you'll be most remembered for, or that you would want to be, because you still have a long time to go, but which is the one that you think, you're strongest in?
Probably my children. Probably being a father. It's funny because I get a lot of jokes about it, and obviously...
you have kids?
Yeah, a lot of them. About as many as in this room. But I'm in Africa, so they know about that. Honestly, I truly feel like that's my legacy. You know what I mean? To be able to be a leader, a head of a household, a provider, and it drives me. I didn't have my first child until I was 30, and then to have my dastardly, diabolical dozen, as I call it. It's something that I take great pride in. It's something that I cherish, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because I truly feel like this is my legacy, to be able to pass something on and to be the best example I possibly can be. And it was a challenge. Like I said, at 30, I had done so many things in life that I was so proud of, that I got so much praise for. It was something that I felt like, it was a new lease on life, and gave me that ability to be a leader of a household, and I'm excited to carry that journey on.
Krupa asked a question about how specifically you mentioned faith a couple times, how you weave faith practically into your work and your life journey.
You know what? As they say, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who jumps out the window and makes a plan going down on how they're going to land, and you really have to just step out on faith and know that there is a higher power, there is energy that allows all of us to operate, that if you believe in something, you can achieve it. And that's where the leaders are. That's where the people at the top of the food chain reside. And it's been, I put so much faith in God, and know that I'm not excited about the destination. I'm more excited about the journey. And the journey of an entrepreneur, the journey of a businessman, the journey of someone who wants to be an innovator, that story is going to be so much more compelling. And then I always tell people, like, if you just saw the end of the movie, it wouldn't be as entertaining.
That's true.
You got to see the entire journey. And that's where your faith rises. That's where those times, those nights where you don't think you're going to make it, or you don't think it's going to come through, or someone has told you no. So many people have slammed so many doors in your face, but it's that one door that opens up that says, all right, this is my direction. This is where I'm supposed to go. And that's where my faith leads me daily.
We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. I want to kind of take the last few minutes to, I know here in Botswana, you're best known for Wild 'N Out, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite segment is is the plead the fifth segment. So I want to do maybe 4 minutes of plead the fifth, under 30 Africa style here.
I always lose in this game, Randall.
I promise, we've talked about the kids. I promise no Mariah Carey mentions. So we're going to go straight on the business stuff.
I plead the fifth. Start off already.
What? All right, Nick Cannon.
Okay.
No pleading the fifth unless it's extreme.
All right.
What's been your biggest mistake?
Ooh, man, I would normally plead the fifth, but I would say my biggest mistake in business is probably not investing more in myself. You said some powerful stuff about I was always wanting to go from job to job, and it took a while for me to understand that investing in myself and creating jobs was going to be the thing that took me. So there was a lot of times where I could have made investments in me. Instead, I chose the more comfortable thing is to just continue to just get paid. So that was probably, and if I could be specific about one, it would probably be, there was a lot of times where I didn't understand investment, and I didn't take the time to understand what investing was. And I lost a lot of money where I was like, man, if I would have known what I know now, right. I probably would be a lot wealthier. Yeah.
Well, we still got a lot of time. All right. So while we're at that, plead the fifth. Or what's the worst investment you ever made?
Oh man, it's whatever my dad wanted me to invest in. My dad is an entrepreneur too, but he done had me invest in everything from donut shops to cleaning services. But I mean, I love him dearly, but my dad is one of those guys that just comes up with an amazing idea every week. And he's like, man, if you just put $1 million in this, right. I was like, no, I'm never doing it. But I love him dearly, but my dad is one of those guys that he had me from everything from Y2K back in the day.
Right.
But some of the stuff
the technology is going to break down. The world's going to be chaotic.
You have to invest in it, but I love my dad dearly.
What's you've traveled around the world, and we're seeing how you roll. You're super hardworking. What's the worst place you've ever been?
Oh, the worst place I've ever been? The unemployment line. If it's a specific destination. Oh man,
you can take the fifth.
I'll plead the fifth on that one because I can't really.
We got 47 countries that don't offend anyone. But you mentioned some of the advice you've gotten. What's the worst advice you've ever gotten?
The worst advice?
Yeah.
Worst advice I've ever got. Man, you'll never get Mariah Carey. People really did not believe in me. They was like, why would you even try that? I was like, watch, you'll see.
Are you the type of person who, like, when someone says no, you say, okay, I'm going to show you?
Absolutely. When someone says no, I'm going to show you why it should be yes. And when someone doesn't believe in me, I always show them why they should.
I think that's a good life lesson. All right, so the last, let's end with a positive question. Which would be, who's your best role model?
My best role model, probably my 13-year-old son. Really Moroccan. He's one of those guys that I see
his name's Moroccan?
Moroccan.
All right.
Yeah, I see myself in him, but I learn so much from him every day. And he makes me better as I'm trying to make him better. Yeah. And watching him just discover the world as a young man, and he's brilliant. He's a genius. So I would definitely say at this moment, probably I look up to my 13-year-old.
Well, you know what's great? That's a great way to end because we got a room of almost 1,000 people younger than you who you can learn from also. So you're going to stick around for a bit?
Absolutely.
All right.
Here.
So we appreciate your time. We appreciate your mentorship.
It's up already, man. This is amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for making the trip out here.
No doubt.
Botswana, Your first trip, hopefully not your last. So,
Yeah, I definitely have to come back.
all right, we appreciate you being here. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.